Welcome back. We are about to go live to a press conference with Governor Greg Abbott there in Texas, where devastating flooding has taken the lives of at least 70 people and 11 campers from that Christian Camp Mystic that was right along the Guadalupe River that is now gone completely in a large sense of the word, or at least doesn't look anything like it used to. There are 11 campers that are still missing, and there are all sorts of first responders that are on the ground. In fact, we have an update from search and rescue operations from the sheriff's office in Kerr County. They're saying that right now they have local, state, and national first responders there. There are over 400 first responders, to give you an idea how wide the scope is here. 20 agencies at work there in Kerr County. They've got K-9 units on the ground. More than 100 air, water, and ground vehicles are in the field right now working on search and rescue. So they have helicopters, they have drones, high water vehicles, boats, and we've been getting fresh video coming in as well of these water rescues that are unbelievable to watch. Here now with us once again is Lieutenant Colonel Hal Kempfer. I want to ask you a little bit more about those alert systems because I know you have a little bit of experience with that. So in the last press conference that we saw, when the emergency officials and the town officials and everyone was asked about the alerts and the evacuations and the potential delays that appear to have been there, they didn't take any more questions, and that was it. That was the press conference was done. So they don't seem to be wanting to answer those questions. And they also haven't answered questions about how many people they think they are still looking for, along with those 11 missing campers. How it's been 3 days since the storm. So that's something that they are appearing to continue to grapple with. So these warning systems that people have been wondering about, they apparently presented a proposal for a more robust flood warning system. This is according to the Associated Press, and it would have been similar to a tornado warning system, but that members of the public, they say, reeled at the cost. What would those look like?
Well, what those look like, Anna, is they're basically sirens that are set up, very, very loud, very audible, piercing sound, and it wakes you up. Is basically what it is. If you're in the middle of sound sleep in the middle of the night, it'll wake you up. And part of the problem is, and I think this may have been the issue at the Mystic Camp, or Camp Mystic, I should say, is that they as part of it they would separate the children and probably the counselors to some extent from their phones. And the idea was to cut off communication to enjoy the natural environment. Well, the danger there is now, did they turn off the phones, or where were the phones? And so if you send out those alerts over the cell phone system, which, we've all heard those things, like I'm in Southern California, so wildfires, we hear those alerts. Those are piercing, but if you're not near your phone, it's not going to do anything. So that's why the sirens make such a big difference. We've done this, I should say, we've worked with countries and territories across the Pacific for tsunamis. And this works. It gets people's attention, it gets them into motion, it gets them moving, and it saves lives. And it's not something for everywhere, but in certain places, it makes a huge difference.
So who activates them? Is it the National Weather Service? Is it local emergency officials? Is there something with water rising that would alert it? Or what alerts them? What would alert make it go off?
It's all local. At the end of the day, it's all local. It's the local authorities have to alert the system. You can't have this. Theoretically, I guess you could hook it up to the National Weather Service, but really what you want is you want that local input. The National Weather Service looks at a lot of different things, but they're not looking at that particular section of the Guadalupe River Valley like the local government is looking at that area. They don't have that knowledge to understand the terrain, who's there, the density of population, who would be there at any given time. Like at summertime, that's when that camp would be probably full of children and stuff. These are things that would be known at the local level. So it's that local input. And as you saw from the timeline, the National Weather Service was actually putting out some pretty timely alerts. The problem was it wasn't spurring action on the ground. It wasn't getting people moving
when
they
was sound asleep. Yeah.
It's in the middle of the night. And again, I kind of go back. That's why sirens would make a difference. If you have a situation, as you did in the camp, where the cell phones are kept somewhere away from those who are there, that siren make a big difference. And I'm not saying the siren needs to be everywhere, but I have to say, if I was to look at it diagnostically, Yes, I would put sirens in that camp. That would be a logical place to have an alert system like that.
This is probably too difficult for you to answer, but could you ballpark say what that would cost between X and Y?
It depends on how big the system is. You're talking millions of dollars to set it up, but to set it up in one camp, probably not that much. Probably thousands, tens of thousands of dollars, depending on how it's set up. It's not a huge expense. The problem, and I think this
All
is what
right.
you're seeing with the politics there, it's tough to get people to pay for this stuff proactively. Oops, I
Colonel
see the
Hal
press
Kempfer, I
conference.
apologize
Yep.
to interrupt you, but we've got Governor Greg Abbott there in Texas giving us an update on the devastating floods. We're going to go ahead and listen in live now.